Hi, today is August 13th, and today they're reporting about the unemployment numbers and how the unemployment rate has gone down. Now, this is a false statistic as far as what most people perceive it to be, and it has been for a very long time. But what upsets me so much is that we're in a pandemic. A lot of people have been unemployed for a long time. A lot of people were hoping that Congress would pass a second stimulus check, or they would extend unemployment for people, or both. Neither of those things happened. People needed that to happen about 2 weeks ago, and Congress did not come together to pass a bill, so a lot of people are just left hanging. Now, because of that, a lot of people's unemployment ran out. What that means is when somebody in the United States loses their job, they apply for unemployment. What they do is they fill out forms and they say, okay, I was let go, I did not quit, I need to receive unemployment insurance to sustain myself while I look for a new job. So every week you have to, or every 2 weeks, it's every week or 2 weeks, you have to apply, and you have to say that you were looking for a job. In some cases you have to prove it, and then you will get a percentage of how much salary you made. That's how it normally goes. The way it was done during this pandemic is they gave people a flat $600 a week, and some people didn't agree with that because they felt a lot of people were getting more money being unemployed than they did when they were working. Okay, so that unemployment was about to run out. People were very nervous. They hoped that Congress would pass a bill. That didn't happen. So all those people are no longer getting unemployment. That means they are no longer applying for unemployment. That means, according to the unemployment statistic as it has always been done, all those people stopped applying for unemployment. So when it comes on the news in the morning and says that X amount of people were applying for unemployment, it no longer includes all those people who remain unemployed. That's how it's always been. So if someone loses their job and they get unemployment for a certain amount of weeks, it's 8 weeks or I don't know, 16 weeks, whatever it is, because I've never done it myself, but you are allowed to get unemployment insurance for a set amount of weeks. If you don't find a job by the end of that amount of time that you were allotted, then it's just too bad. You do not get any more unemployment insurance. You do not get any more money. And you also do not count as someone who is getting unemployment. So when the unemployment statistic comes out, if you no longer are getting unemployment, but you're still unemployed, but you're no longer applying, you do not count in that unemployment statistic. You disappeared. This is probably what happened this week. All those people who were applying for unemployment are no longer applying for it. So it's as if they are no longer unemployed, but they are. They just are not applying for unemployment because they can't, because they exhausted their unemployment amount. So today they said that less than 1 million people applied for unemployment. Those are new people applying for unemployment. That's not the people who've been unemployed all this time. That's people who applied for unemployment this week who did not apply for unemployment last week. That's what those statistics mean. Just that those are new people. So that still means there are more unemployed people than there were last week. It's just not 1 million new ones or 2 million new ones. But it's still more people than last week. So none of this is going in an upward fashion. But everyone on every news outlet I watch seems to be leading people to believe that somehow this means that the economy is improving or the unemployment is improving. And that's not so. And they know it's not so. Most people who pay attention to the news and know about the statistic know that it only counts the number of people who are currently receiving unemployment insurance or applied for unemployment insurance. All the people who cannot get unemployment insurance because they quit their job or they're just not working, they are not part of the statistic. All the people who needed to have their unemployment extended, they are no longer a part of the statistic. So there's nothing positive about this number, and I am distressed because not only are the media falsely reporting it as good news, but also I'm reading on different message sites and on other YouTube videos that people don't seem to understand this very basic thing. Maybe they were never unemployed before and they never went through this. But once you stop applying for unemployment, you no longer are part of that unemployment statistic. So if a huge number of people can no longer apply for unemployment and they are no longer counted in that number, it seems like the number of unemployed people went down, but it didn't. The number of people applying for unemployment went down. That doesn't mean those people went back to work. That's the biggest lie in the world. It's been the biggest lie in the world for a very long time. That's why there's so many unemployed people in this country who nobody counts. You know, because either they're home and they're underemployed, or they don't, you know what I mean? They just work a small job, or they depend on somebody else who takes care of them, or they're homeless and they have no money. There's all the people who do not collect unemployment insurance are not applying for unemployment because they were recently fired or laid off from their job. They do not count in that statistic. That's why that statistic is just about people collecting unemployment. It's not about how many Americans are unemployed, how many Americans have no money, how many Americans need help. It's one thing to not know it last year. It's one thing to fudge that story last year, but to fudge it now when people are still desperately wanting Congress to take action, those reporting it in this way will allow Congress to say, oh, things are getting better. We don't need to help anybody anymore. And it's just not true. It's not true at all. And the media knows this. And I hope to God most Americans know this, but I'm starting to get afraid that they don't, and they somehow are going to believe it too, even though they're sitting there with no money and their unemployment ran out. Please, I really hope people know better.